Hello there, welcome to another Scannell agenda. This is Steve Scannell. This is show number 52, March 28th, 2016. The title of the show today is the BOR Zone, or Border Zone. I couldn't make up my mind, but I knew I had to change that ribbon prison system, which I was previously calling it, to something else because it wasn't as, it was not as inclusive of all the things I want to do down there in a border zone. Partially it would be prisons. And I had in mind that it would be local Barnstable County House of Correction, BZ Annex. That would be a border zone annex. That might make more sense, I'm not sure, than just doing a big wall, just a huge wall, and that's it. The thinking is done, the wall's going in. Now, to my way of thinking, if you break into a jail of any kind, that to me would be a felony. So if we had a ribbon prison system or a border zone that had multiple uses, inclusive of that would be some gated communities, if you want to call them gated communities, if you're not comfortable with jail or prison. Actually, there is kind of a difference between a prison and a jail, and I'm thinking more along the lines of a very light-duty Camp Cupcake, they used to call our jail here, because it was not for the hard time guys. It was, you know, nice guards, it was therapeutic, it was good food, work on the farm. You know, if you got sent to jail, it wouldn't break you in two, most likely. Anyway, so this would be something called a border order system. I thought about calling it the BO Zone, BO, border order. That's funny, but I didn't want humor to override the title of the system, which, as I simply have it now, is the border zone system, which would be partially societal services systems. In other words, drug rehabs / penal prison, ribbon prison. Now the ribbon prison, as I've explained to you, is a very elongated prison. Let's say if you had a 3-mile long prison and it were an annex for a county jail, that'd be about right. And Cape Cod could have an annex down there on the border somewhere, and that would be about 3, 4, 5 miles maybe, that the Cape Codders could build boats, etc. So I have the Friends of Prisoners here building the Illyrian 26 down there on the border. That's more than just, you know, a job. That's kind of career building. That kind of a boat is not easy to build, but it would be an ideal boat, I think. Maybe with some modification, it would be an ideal boat for kind of a consortium approach to sail training or boat training or marine technologies training here on the Cape and Rhode Island and other. We built a beautiful Illyrian, 26-foot Illyrian, which is a Herreshoff design. Nat Herreshoff designed it in 1912 for himself, and it's one of the most loved sailboats of all times. And so this is not my thinking here. This is something where if you sailed into a yacht club, they would go gaga over your boat. I mean, it's a really beautiful boat. So it's not my thinking, really. It's Nat Herreshoff. They used to call him the Wizard of Bristol. He designed a lot of America's Cup boats and that kind of thing. Now on Nantucket, we laminated these boats up. And then we had a kind of a lead fiberglass keel that dropped down into the hull, and we'd screw it all together. And then we'd put in bulkheads, and we'd put in the deck and the little cabin top, and then of course your sailing rig. And Alfie Sanford never needed a motor, but I would think motor would be a good idea. Small electric motor would be good. He could sail anywhere without a motor. And he could back it up because he could. He was an unbelievable seaman, or he is, and he's had a couple boats built down there at in Chatham at Pease Brothers, which is a good yard. They build a few boats. Benjamin and Gannon over in the vineyard build some good boats. There's a lot of good boats built on the Cape. There's a lot of good boats built in this whole region. Rhode Island's got a lot of great boat shops. So, so my suggestion that the Illyrian 26 and also an Illyrian 52, Alfie built, I think, a 50-footer in California, which was heralded as an excellent boat. And then a 104-footer, we could also build that too. That would be also a sloop rig. A very tall boat. Anyway, this is all laminated wood, takes a lot of labor. And to my way of thinking, you don't want to build a boat that's going to rot. What you want to do is build a boat that's going to last a long time, like the hot molded boats that Ludder's built. So we could be doing all these kinds of things down on the border, keeping people busy. And as I've said before, you know, you need to tie someone up and dry them out. And we have the need for that. But there again, you don't want to break someone's spirit. There's no need of that. And these old county jails that we used to have were the ticket. I've never been in the new jail to get put there, but, you know, visited, but I don't know. I haven't heard good things. Of course, when you had a good old-fashioned county jail and you didn't have all these visitors from Boston and New Bedford and everyone coming in, getting put into your jail, and that mixes the population. I don't like that. I don't like inviting tough characters to Cape Cod, because that's what happens. They get the connections, and pretty soon they're living here. So this border jail is a good idea, I think. I think it's a better idea than just simply putting in a big old wall, you know. But America contending with difficulties or not so much. This has been a difficulty for a long time. Now, are we contending with it or not so much? So what's our mission statement in the United States of America? Is it more money for the rich? Money on top of money and more money for government workers? We don't have cod. We're really not serious about working on the fisheries issues. I don't know who's running the show here, but we're not doing a very good job. We're not contending with these issues, because if we were, we would have some codfish. Cape Codders are not dumb. But people with common sense, practical people, are getting sick of being overridden. That's why I kind of like Donald Trump a lot. And I kind of like Bernie, too. Congratulations to Bernie recently. Maybe we're happy with 99 cents a pound chicken. And the kids are not helping. The kids are resorting to being refusedniks. They have refusenikitis. They're not voting. Not a good situation. Personally, I don't have patience with that kind of thing, because the people that raised me quite often were very, very good people that didn't need or tolerate the excuses for that kind of behavior, that slipshod behavior, not voting, not participating. You let someone else walk away with the treasury, and you're going to sit on the couch. That's not good. So Bernie's woken up a lot of people, and I think Donald has woken up a lot of people, and that's a good thing. These are anti-establishment folks that are doing well in the polls. So I'm very, very excited about that. So, okay, that is a pipeline project for the East Coast to go undersea. All right, I'll talk about that in a minute or two. I'm going to start a file on Massachusetts Republican Party. I saw Kirsten Hughes on TV. She's explaining that people are discontented with the establishment and tired of rhetoric. I think our understanding has to get a little deeper. That is true. But to pinpoint exactly the level of exasperation when we can't even control the border, the levels of exasperation are getting pretty high. So, with me anyway. I know it's true with a lot of people. There's a lot of exasperation out there. This is more, I've been working a lot on that pipeline. It's a pipeline that goes under the sea, carries water from Canada and Maine area down to Georgia and Florida and across to Texas and California. I've been working on some of the ideas on the tripe system, that is the track pipe. And just how do we want, as a public, how does the public want that, you know? I think they want up and down grade changes, and they want to go for the ride and see the sights, and not just a way to get around. As you might think of trains on the level. These are going to be up high and then low and, you know, banking in and around. It's going to be quite an interesting life using the tripe system. So you don't want to design it for an 89-year-old or for a 13-year-old. It's got to be designed somewhere in the middle. It's going to be quite a ride, but you don't want a carnival ride necessarily, but you don't want it to be too slow either. People want the interest. And I'm working on still the Cape Cod training base Hyannis. And this one here, this is an idea about let's give the Marines this job, and this is about the air ambulance job in this country. I guess it's being handled by some entrepreneurs who are cashing in pretty well, doing a good job at that on the air ambulance service, but their billing system is a little bit challenged. So I don't know if we can fix that or should fix that, I don't know. But it would be a lot of on-the-job training for helicopter pilots with the Navy SEALs, the Army Rangers, the Air Force Iron Pants, and the Coast Guard Pendletons. You could have different teams, and you'd get them at a young age, age 17, and take the top performance people, and do a 25-year deal until they are 42 years old. And we spend a lot of money in this country training pilots, and then they go. You train a pilot for 8 years, and then they go away. That's not a good business deal. So it's pretty important to have good helicopter pilots in battle, search and rescue, close air support, and all that. I'm not a military person, but I know that's important. And I talked about the training bases for the Cape Cod training base Hyannis, and this would be in Africa. This idea would fit in very well with a training base, let's say in a different country, a poor country. You would have an air ambulance / police helicopter security system. It would have a U.S. flag on it, and it would be piloted by a United States pilot. Okay. I like the Prayer and Pizza project too. Been working on Christian Sea Scouts as a spin-off. Now that would be a thing where Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts would get the merit badges. Well, the same thing with the Christian Sea Scouts. They would be training and having fun, maybe some college prep for college and Bible study, etc. And also with bigger boats, with bigger sailboats especially, you could get people around to do their missionary work all around the world. Instead of flying them, which is pretty expensive, you could just put them on the boat. All right? That's my thinking on that. I mean, anyway. What was I looking for here? Oh, okay. That's not the right pile. Maybe it's this pile. Prison work cash plus my 2-to-1. You know, when I write up an idea, that doesn't necessarily mean I like the idea. I have to write it up and put it in more of a finished form than just a very rough idea before I judge against it. And I usually end up taking something that might be useful out of it, using that on some other project. But let's just say you had a prisoner with a little jailbird. You get out of line. So you got him in jail, maybe down there in the prison, border prison zone. And so I've got this prison work cash plus my 2-to-1. So you make $1 in jail, and then you, when you're getting out, you're living in a job and bunk and you're making some money. So you earn $2, and then you contribute that into the fund. So it's so you get $3, which goes to a real estate purchase in 8 years, or, you know, you got to be reasonable and you got to keep working and you got to reasonably stay out of trouble. It could go to a real estate bond with a 5% interest, or you could be a landlord partner on a property. Now, that would just get lost if you got caught up in crime. You'd lose it. So that would be a good incentive. And you'd be working your way out of jail. With my systems, they are work your way out type of systems where you, I think I explained this on some other shows, where you buy your own laundry soap, you do your own laundry, you cook your own meals, you buy your own food. The recidivism is such because you're taken care of like a little, you know, 4th grade kid, 3rd grade kid. And that is not good. You're shocked if you think you can just go from that into the difficulties of life, even the mundane things. So this is a reward for crime. Is that a good idea? And I'm not so sure it is, like I was saying. So you could say yes if it's balanced with incentives for those who stay straight. As you know, I push this drug testing. So if a kid got to be, let's say, 25 years old, and he stayed drug-free from the time he was 24 till, time he was like 14 to 24, and he got all his drug testing results, and they were all good, he might get a bonus. I don't know if that kind of thing would be good. All these things are kind of like a no-no that I'm talking about here. You're trying to incentivize kids to be good. Might be a good idea, I'm not really sure. But paying prisoners to work, I don't know. It's kind of like incentivizing crime. So if you incentivize crime, you get more of it, I suppose. That's the thinking. Is that the thinking? I don't even know. So, been doing a lot of work with boat design, which doesn't hold a candle to what the Herreshoff folks do down there in Rhode Island. So, if you think that you can draw up a better boat than that, I think you're kidding yourself. That's just I do this all the time. I don't like it. Not prepared enough. But the ribbon prison system would have people working, and it would have people gainfully employed, but it wouldn't be such that you would have them cooped up as in a jail. They'd be spread out. And probably, if they were doing well, they could have a 16 by 16 foot shed to live in. All right. Here's a good one. Office of Public Aquaculture. That is one for Hyannis, one for Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, Fairhaven, Westport, Wareham, Wellfleet, Plymouth, Scituate, Quincy, Boston, Beverly, Ipswich, Gloucester. About 30 of them per Massachusetts, for Massachusetts, which with the market quota system, you'd have a strong state support system of local public aquaculture and strong support from the state for federal public aquaculture, but no more ribbon of control for the states. I don't believe in that because I just don't think it's needed or necessary. It serves any good purpose. You need the state involvement. You know. So, anyway, this ribbon prison would mean you'd be able to take a lot of people and tie them up through the county, not state and federal systems, these are county systems. So we would be subsidizing county systems. You could subsidize a county farm and subsidize, here's a good aquaculture project. You do aquaculture projects and reef system projects, which I have stacks of. But here's a good codium or rockweed or oyster lattice, and it's all about getting things growing in the ocean. In this case, it's marine vegetation. So here's another aquaculture project, which is my forte, designing fisheries and aquaculture projects. So this is something to grow codium on, and then you would take this codium rack and you'd bring it to the farm. You wouldn't even have to pick the codium, and then the hogs would feed on it, assuming that they will eat it, which I think they will. There is a codium soup from Japan. It is edible. And I was down on the beach yesterday. I got a nice small clump of eelgrass. And I broke that up into, I think, 6 or 7 pieces of plantable eelgrass. Anyway, how much time do we have? 5 minutes? Is that 5? Okay, thanks. This is like torture. Okay. Rob the hapless widows. Boy, I'm telling you, this country's going downhill. There was a guy on Channel 99. He's going to do he's from the Howard Council on Aging. What's his name? Lawyer, pretty smart guy. Arthur Crooks Law. I was very interested in what he had to say. And these poor old folks that are going into the nursing home, they're the ones that are going to get ripped off. And if you're smart, you'll have all your ducks in a row and you won't get ripped off. But really, come on now. That's discouraging. To tax the old folks right out of their house and home to pay for the nursing home. Okay. So the prison system will put people to work. It'll tie them up. You'll do all your you know, your rehab work down there. And drying out, I guess it takes time. I've never been hooked on drugs. I did smoke grass when I was young. So this is a big border fence in the form of a building. This is one I was drawing up. It would be made of ferro cement. It's about 72 feet wide by about that tall, and it's about 12 stories, and it would be like the Great Wall of China, only it would be modern construction. And I mean, that might work in a few spots, but here's a good one: quahog chowder lessons. 7 quahogs. Good old Cape Cod clam chowder, quahog chowder, excuse me. Now, what do we got here? Oh yeah, the training bases, that whole idea of the Cape Cod training base, Hyannis, and other places would be training bases. Okay, you're going to have to mix that with training bases in Africa, let's say, poor countries, or Malaysia, and, you know, South America. In other words, what we want to do, instead of just providing free money to a poor country, you structure it. You have democracy insurance as the foundation so that they don't have to carry a military. And then you've got possibly some infrastructure projects which would benefit them. A leapfrog would be the tripe system for Africa, because they don't have an electrical grid in Africa to speak of. The cities do. So you need training bases, you need a mission. So that's about it. Maybe we'll talk about the visiting chickens next time around. The show's a disaster, but the project is a good one. This border zone, instead of building a big fence, and that's all it is a fence. That's $12 billion down the drain. So we can do it for about half the price and make this border zone pay, and very secure as well. Thanks for watching the Scannell Agenda.